This is our third video on opening principles. There are three phases in every chess game: the opening, the middle game, and the end game. In the opening, the four most important squares are in the center. These four squares dictate every action in an opening in the chess game. I want to point out how every move I'll make will affect these four squares. First, let's start off with some tragedy openings. This one's called the Fool's Mate. And it happens when you allow your king to be attacked too early. In this situation, this is checkmate. Already. In 3 moves. Because White's king allowed itself to be compromised. Now, Scholar's Mate is checkmate in 4 moves. This is an excellent opening move because it occupies one square in the center and attacks another. This move, on the other hand, has no bearing on the 4 center squares, so this would be considered a waste of time in the opening. This is another excellent move, using our bishop and attacking the weakest square in the camp in chess. The F7 square is the weakest square because only the king defends it. Again, black makes a move which is non-essential to the opening, and white develops his queen. In this situation, this is also checkmate. Based off our 3 rules from the previous video, the king cannot capture the queen because it's defended by the bishop, therefore the king would be moving into check. The king has no escape squares to get away from the check, to move out of it. And with all of these pieces around the king, none of them can help stop the queen's onslaught. This is when openings go bad. So, what is an example of a good opening? The first move, and say black creates symmetry. Now we develop our knight. And notice how the knight attacks both of these squares, both central squares. This move, for instance, has no bearing on the center, and you can see immediately white can win a pawn. So after e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6 would be an excellent defensive move because this knight is now defending these 2 squares. So at this point, I'll develop my other knight, attacking these 2, and black relieves the pressure. So then I'll develop my bishop here, and my idea is I'm attacking this knight, and if my bishop was to capture his knight, he would lose control over these 2 squares. So in response to this, black develops his pawn and shores up his center. Now, I want to develop my other bishop and shore up my center. Black develops his bishop, white develops his. And thus far in the videos, we've not talked about any special moves in chess. I'm about to show you the only time 2 pieces can move. This is castling. The king moves 2 to the right, or 2 to the left, which we will see momentarily. This is kingside castling. We move the king over one side or the other, 2 squares, and we throw the rook over. Castling can only occur when the pieces have been developed between the king and rook, and neither the king nor the rook have moved previously in the game. So this again is castle kingside. Now I'm moving my queen up. Black develops his bishop, again hitting the center. And white in this situation can either castle queenside or kingside. For instance, to castle queenside, we move the king over 2 squares and simply throw the rook over. And this is an example of a good opening in chess. Notice how we've developed all of our pieces, and now we're ready to begin attacking. This concludes our lecture on opening principles.